All right, so I'm Benjamin. I'm the owner of Epic Seconds, and we have folks from the Parlor Tattoo here today for our day after First Friday show, and it's their neighbors, and I think highly of them, and I'm excited to have them here. We have Jerry Wagner and Jimmy Singleton. The idea of the show is I've been thinking a lot lately about business and downtown and industries like writing and art and things and journalism and fluctuant things and that are impacted by the internet. And my wife and I were interested in the way that other businesses around us have adapted to that, and I think we're encouraged by the way the tattooists have embraced the internet. So we invited them over here to show some work and to talk about the way that they're adapting and utilizing new technology. So we have them here, and this is kind of an informal question and answer and a little bit of information about what they do.
No, I'm not. That's very good.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Singleton. I work at The Parlor Tattoo in Eugene, Oregon. I've been at The Parlor for about almost 14 years now. I've been tattooing since, started in 1995, and been tattooing since before the internet really got hold of a lot of the way we present our information. Usually people would have to come into the shop, look at artwork on the wall or in the racks or our books, and then we would discuss how to provide the image that they want. And now we have people bringing their phones with using Pinterest or Google or any kind of image source to provide us an idea of where they're coming from. And so now we have new challenges of whether or not to copy verbatim the images that they bring us, but we generally will try to encourage unique approaches to what they want, not just copying someone else's imagery. That way we don't run into biting someone else's style, we say, where we have people who worked very hard on the original designs and the client brings in their image, like, I want this tattoo that they were given, that this person has, and we're like, well, this person that's their tattoo. We want you to have as unique an image as we can provide for you. And a lot of folks just don't get it because they think it's like buying a pair of shoes at the store. You know, you can just go and buy a thing, and we want to make it a little bit more special for ourselves as well as for them. I consider myself a commercial artist. They come in with an idea, I try to do it. I get a certain amount of freedom with how I provide it for them, but then a lot of times it's their concept. It's got to serve the purpose for what they want, whether it's for a loved one or their faith or their patriotism. And so we can have a certain allowances with that, but it still revolves back to their thing. So. And then we post on the internet and hopefully get appreciation for it and try to keep our name in the whatever it is, zeitgeist or whatever it is, and hopefully can make ourselves relevant still. And the new medium that's the only way you exist is if you exist online, because like being at a brick and mortar store is so challenging because people have to come to us to get tattooed. Or if you're purchasing records or physical items, but I mean, we get used to Amazon and other websites where you can just get a thing. You want a thing, you just order it. Whereas, you know, so far we're lucky you can't do that with tattoos with a 3D printer at your house. So we're very fortunate that so far. But so now it's like just adapting to how things have evolved and the way we get information, and there are more tattooed people living than any other time of our lives in our history. There's more tattooers around, and so the quality, the subject matter is so more expansive, and so that's another way we have to try to stay relevant with the trends of artwork and what is popular and why it's popular, from celebrities, athletes, and what drives the imagery and the source. So it's always trying to learn how to adapt to that. So this piece is inspired from an old Americana image called Pharaoh's Horses, which goes back to stories from Moses and the Israelites fleeing Pharaoh in Egypt, and then Moses let the Red Sea crash upon Pharaoh, and so the horses in the original image have a manic look in their eyes with water crashing about them. And I just want to translate that image into wolves instead of horses, and instead of water, fire. So, and then there's this animation, Japanese animated film called Princess Mononoke, where there's a struggle between man and ancient gods of the forest, and so character Lady Eboshi is beset by these ancient gods of the forest. So I called it Lady Eboshi's Bane to be pretentious, but I just like the wolves and the fire and just wanted to have some action. And then this other piece is just a mashup of Daruma and the movie Clockwork Orange. The Daruma, the Bodhisattva, how you say his name, the monk that meditated so long that his arms and legs fell off, while he's staring at the wall and practically went blind staring at the wall. And then the Clockwork Orange, he had the devices holding his eyes open. So I kind of wanted to do a strange mashup of those two ideas, and it was originally intentioned for a friend's birthday, and I never gave it to them.
My name is Jerry Wagner, and I'm a tattoo artist at the Parlor Tattoo. I've been tattooing since 1999, and I've been in and out of the parlor now since that period of time. I learned how to tattoo in that shop. When I came into tattooing as a graffiti writer, and I used to paint on freight trains with one of the artists that worked at the tattoo shop. And I've been drawing since I was a little kid. It was one of those things that I could do, that was the one thing I had talent at when I was younger. And so while I was painting with this person, he had mentioned me that the tattoo shop he works at was looking to apprentice and hire a new artist. And so I took advantage of that opportunity immediately because, at that point I didn't know what else I could do with my art to make money, So I figured, well, I can make money and buy art supplies and continue painting and still draw as well. So I had obviously a history with art before I even came into tattooing. Tattooing kind of seemed like this advantageous thing I could use, So when I learned how to tattoo, it was like a difficult process because it works kind of opposite of the way I usually work with painting. The steps in which you work and the process in which you work is like completely a 180 turn from what I was used to doing. A lot of what I've done, it has varied a lot in styles over the years, and I think a lot of what I have here, it spans a large period of time. So there was times when I was learning how to do things a specific way, and then once I had learned that, I wanted to learn how to do it a different way. There was always an idea in my fine art, other than tattooing, was to always constantly be evolving because these things interested me, and they, the act of making art itself makes me happy. It's a meditative event, To me, I feel like being in the process of making art is more fulfilling sometimes than finishing the piece. I would have, sometimes I'd get kind of sad when I'd finish a big painting, because I couldn't be within that action anymore. That action was now gone and I had to transfer it into something else, Yeah, I think that might be it. Sorry. Okay. So this painting is entitled Una Fuerza Brutal, and that's Spanish for brutal force. It's one of my favorite paintings I've done in the past few years. It's from 2016, and I got the title from a documentary I was watching about Mexico, and this woman was talking about the country of Mexico and how they've had these hardships, but at the end of the day there's still a brutal force, with all this history and stuff. I don't know how the title ties into the subject matter itself. It's a self-portrait. And it is actually one of my favorite paintings. It's spray paint. The background is spray paint, and this is acrylic, and then this is gold leaf that I had laid in myself. And then the top, I think, is like some type of crayon or pencil. I can't remember the Stabilo. It's a Stabilo pencil. But I don't know. honestly, I could stand in front of all these paintings and tell you I don't know what any of them mean. They just kind of happen. I don't know if there's any internal thing or some external thing I'm trying to express. I just know it just kind of happens and then it's happening. But this one in particular I really like a lot. This one, I had a lot of fun painting this one. Yeah.
I'm Benjamin again from Epic Seconds. I wanted to fill in everyone in regards to this space that we're in and where we're showing the Parlor's artwork. Many years ago this was a stereo store and downstairs was a typewriter store, and we've been here for 27 years and we've renovated the building, and to try to keep fluid and open to ideas and creative possibilities. We've made the upstairs loft here a record lounge, and also featuring artwork and sometimes performance. So it's kind of a mid-century vibe, but we're hosting artwork every other month.
That was a Rise Rock. Live killing it.
Let's do a soul clap out there, everybody. Let me see a soul clap.
In the building. Capsule Rock. Make some noise for these dancers, ladies and gentlemen. You don't like what you see? Put your money in the hat. Got a couple more for you. We're gonna show you how it's done. We rock for y'all. We rock for y'all. Come on, rock for y'all. We rock for y'all. Come on, clap. Come on. Now clap. Come on, clap. Keep working. Yeah, thank y'all. Throw your money in the bag. Help support the artists. Keep this movement forward. Thank you. all say action. Raw, action, raw, action, raw, action, raw, action. That's the squad and yo, that's the action. Straight up, we rep the freestyle. For all the girls and individuals. Straight out, we rhyme off the top. So it's all right here with what this hip-hop. This is how we bring it together. Coming through unrehearsed with style, the clever. Got the B-boys, got the MCs, got the people in the place to be. We in the EUG all the day. Got the sun in my face, I say, bless y'all, thank y'all, bless y'all, thank y'all, bless y'all, thank y'all, bless y'all, thank y'all. Yo, Ross Squad is in the building. They've been holding down UD for a long time. They make mad noise up in Portland, coming out to you people, repping your city. Make some noise for the B-boys.
So, this is pretty incredible. You can look at it all day and keep finding new things. Can you just tell us a little bit about the inspiration here, how this happened?
I'm a member of the New Zone, and one day Steve and I, who's the director, artistic director of the New Zone, and I were talking about the space and doing something on it. And the next morning I got here at 8 o'clock and I said, I think I can do something. The Sunday after that, I got here at 7 o'clock because I was so exciting. My first mural, by the way, I'm usually a studio painter, and I went further and further, and then at some point I said, I've got to own this wall. And so I just kept doing this, and the people who own the building had cautioned me about being, getting too crazy because they might want to do something with the building. But since they haven't, and for me it was like just a joy. When do you get to paint 3,000 square feet? when you get a 3,000 square foot canvas, when you've been painting, you know, biggest thing I ever made is made maybe 7 by 15, 3-panel painting. And so this was totally exciting, and it's the theater building, the Lord Liebrecht Theater building as well. And so looking at the sign, I was, and I happened to have been reading some Shakespeare, and I said, I'll keep a theatrical feel to the entire piece. And so what I've got here is, for example, is Hamlet. I've got King Lear. I've got, geez, you name it. There's a streetcar named Desire behind me. Othello over here. And the theater, Shakespeare theater was the Globe Theater. So I used the circular motif to get something going. So I was able to...
Doesn't go in front of us.
So I was able to...
Yeah, you just have to stay.
Okay, okay, sorry. So I had to use some compositional tricks to keep the whole thing moving. And that's always the hardest thing when you have something this big. You can't, some people said, did you make a drawing? What, like a 15-foot drawing? By, you know, 5 feet? It would have been done for me at that point anyway. So I just kept going, and I used the blue, the arches, and repeated the arches, and kept the whole thing going. And I wish we could get rid of this building, because I think it would be fun to see it from a distance, you know, and see the whole thing. But
Can I ask you another question?
Down at the end there, up in the upper corner, it looks like it's sort of a lot of things outlined and drawn. Are you not finished with this yet? Do you plan to keep going?
No, it's done. It's done. It's done. There's something about something being unfinished that's always entertained me. You know, it's like there's more. There's always should be more. If you're done with something, you know, what's the point? It's like life. Yeah, one more day, please.
I was just wondering if you ever lost motivation while you were making it. Did you ever get tired of working on it?
No. That was, that's the cool thing. There was always another space, another blank area, and always something else that needed to be done. I did all of this, I used an 8-foot ladder and a 16-foot pole to get to the top parts. So no scaffolding, it's just me. So as I like to say, it's a one man, one mural. And it's totally non-commercial, so my time, my dime, and my energy, and it was just fun. I mean, I don't know if you'd paint or draw or do anything, and then just imagine the largest part of what you could possibly do with what you do. Like if you're a photographer and someone says, would you like to use a camera that's got a 4 by 5 foot, right, image that you could pop off? How neat that would be. Or oh, you get to use the Boston Pop Symphony for a little doohickey that you're, you know, playing with on the piano. And for me, this was just like that. I could still work on it. You know, I could go to a smaller brush. I could see details all the time. But it's a mural, it's big. The big brushes were good enough to get me to this point and to keep it exciting for me. But yeah. Yes.
Thanks, Hans. Any other questions?
Yeah, I got one. Yeah. Do you have any plans to make another mural ever?
I don't have any plans. But I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't rule it out. But next time I want someone to pay for it. And, you know, in some way.
Thank you, Hans. This is amazing. I'll come back here through this alley a lot just to check it out and see new things every time, probably.
Just out of curiosity, how many of you have seen this mural before?
Less than half.
Yeah, less than half. Hopefully, we'll be here for the Eugene celebration, and we've got the Zone for All opening.
Salon de Purple.
The Salon de Purple. Steve is going to tell you about that in a second, if you don't mind. But I want to encourage those of you who came later to you know, go back and forth and maybe just park your bikes and walk back and forth and take a look and see if you can find some of the theatrical references that I had in mind. And I put a sheet of paper on the wall there that you could take a picture of. And it has a list of Shakespearean plays with the dots next to them. Those are the ones that are definitely here. Now, some things aren't, like the streetcar named Desire here, right in the beginning, just to get people, you know, thinking about that kind of thing. And this is a Sunday in the Park with George, which I think is a play I saw with my friend Steve Rao 30-some years ago. And there might be a Sweeney Todd in here too, which he graciously took me to. And with who's the Murder, She Wrote lady? Lansbury was playing the piece. Amazing. And so I've seen this, and I did some theatrical hardware work in my day, and got to sit in on Miss Saigon through one of the workmen who bought stuff for us. He took me up. I brought a 6-pack of beer and sat up with him and where the lights are, up in this thing that was almost scary. The beer was just medication for me, being up that high. And but what a trip, you know, what an exciting time. Any questions?
Yes. I see a lot of bicycles in here. Can you explain that?
Let me see. I see a bicycle on your shirt. Is this Oregon? No, my thinking with the bicycle, and part of it what I loved, I like the bicycle. The wheels are also emblems of time. Okay, think of them as clocks, circular things, wheels of fortune, and you know, Shakespeare, it's all fortune versus nature, you know, nurture and nature. What's going on? Some guys are born with it all, and they're the biggest snakes, and the ones without it are the ones that should be, you know, the idea of nobility in Shakespeare, what makes that happen. And also, what I liked about Shakespeare is that you've heard the term, it's like teaching a fish how to ride a bicycle. Shakespeare has 3 things. He has his tragedies, his comedies, and his histories. So how do you teach a fish to ride a bicycle? Shakespeare would, if he had duct tape, he would tape a fish to the seat of a bike, kick him down the hill, and if he bounced off everybody, killing a few people along the way, and in the end everybody dies, it's a tragedy. If he bounces into people and the fish makes it, gets confused, looks in the mirror, and ends up in the water with his family, it's a comedy. And then the histories, you push the bike down the hill and you go home and see if it's in the paper the next day and see if that's how you remember it. So that kind of idea with bicycles. And
that's why the bikes.
And they're cool too.
Just one quick question.
Should we just mention, you wanted to mention something quick?
I don't need that. If there's any artists here, we have our intake for the Salon de Purpler, open, non-juried open show. It goes on till 6 o'clock tonight. If you want to enter a piece, it's an open non-juried show. We're having our opening on Thursday, the 22nd. And that's all I can say. Except one thing, I heard something about Shakespeare today on NPR, that he had bad handwriting, and they were thinking that some of his phrases might be wrong, like to pee or not to pee might have been what he written. There you go, guys. Thank you all for coming out.
Thanks, Steve, for helping making this happen. I
know
you were in Hans as well.
Our Dutch master, Hans de Hosley.
You guys really made it.
How about Thursday the 22nd?
Yeah, all right, everybody will come. And yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
What kind of paint and how much paint would you use?
I don't know how much water.
Gallons?
I don't know more than a gallon, but just 30-year-old house paint, 30-year, lasting house paint.
Okay.
And I figured that was.
All right, we're going to continue on now. We're going to go back out to Broadway. We're going to go down to Lincoln and turn right up to the Wow Hall. The back parking lot of the Wow Hall is the next stop. Thanks so much, Hans, for coming out and talking to us. It was an incredible piece of work here.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, please come back. You know, when you have
Join the parade!
Oh, how can you like be so?
Hi. Oh, okay.
Sure, did you get a sign? You were in Art Talk?
You're doing a great job. I didn't know that. I can't read, so I don't know what's going on anywhere.
We're gonna, Jeannie will be up front with the flag. We'll be up front. And, what I'll do is
Oh, bloody hell, me too!
You might notice the art here of Joseph Moore in this building that we installed. This building was a City of Eugene building that took us months to get into. Joseph Moore, Dave Bates, and Christina Stipatek have art in the windows here. We're going to go around the front and look at the front side this way. Single file, please. This building has art by Christina Stipatek, Marilyn Kent, Maureen Campbell, who's in the parade today, and Jill Martin, who's also here at the parade. All right, single file, everybody. We're going to go down this way.
Single file. It's happening. You can take it with my. All right. Art saves lives. Art saves lives. It's the art parade. There's less than 99 of
A lot of the time what I'll do is I'll start out with the surface.
Yeah. How about you? Where's your show? Oh, you have I don't know how you headed to all the.
See ya.
All right.
Well, FaceTime. Yeah, we're gonna FaceTime. Okay.
Oh, there you go. I really like moves and bands because they show different, you can get one of the different ways and
she had a picture, it was like she was going to put the house together, and she had a picture of one of her antique conventions.
Oh.
It's not.
I won't get to go unless he gives me permission.
Yes.
This day.
Really?
Really?
Does he have a show?
I'm not going to do a show unless I can figure out how long.
Layering with it?
So,
You don't know what you're
like
doing.
that. Mark said I should call it before the scan. The show.
She barely made it.
Yeah.
I know, that's good too.
I was
I like
thinking
raw
that,
though.
I was looking at it when we were.
Really depends on the day.
I
Because sometimes I will paint the canvases and then scan that in.
And
that's the come in and open the store. So this is like Impasto, you know, like where he is, like that changing fine people.
Well, I mean, you take
her in the mic at work.
I didn't really feel. I felt dehydrated in the morning.
Because then I can draw on top. The great thing about the William Turner is the digital inks don't bleed when you do that, so you can.
Have a nice texture. Yeah, that's hard.
That's why it's really hard to find a paper that you can get a digital company to print for.
What's happening?
This one, I got stuck on that one for days. That's it. And that's the reason why you're still an artist. That's it.
That moment.
Well, the one with the hoopy was the first one, and Malachi did the.
It's different from the other ones that you had where it was.
You don't want anybody.
But this is the red thing too.
I
just did it.
And it was just for pieces for people to buy and take for Christmas presents. And we just kind of like.
At home.
Was I ready and transformation? What's great is
Yeah. How about you? Where's your show? Oh, you have 10 more. So we're on the 10 layers.
So you get to mention